Okay, good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm teacher Malini here. I'm going to present about IGCSE Chemistry 0620, some tips and about the papers, and also I will share with you what are the common mistakes done by students. Okay. First, we will go through the assessment overview. It means what are the papers you are going to sit for chemistry. Okay. Now, we have two options, which is core and extended papers. Core is paper 1, multiple choice, paper 3, theory, and paper 6, alternative to practical. Extended assessment covers paper 2, multiple choice, paper 4, theory, and paper 6, alternative to practical. So each of the assessment have different marks and also time. So for multiple choice question, paper 1 and paper 2, which will be 45 minutes. Paper 3 and paper 4, theory, core, and extended, will be 1 hour 15 minutes, and it covers about 80 marks. Okay, and paper 6 is the same for both core and extended. Paper 6 will be 1 hour and it will cover about 40 marks. Okay. And the question will be based on experimental skills. Okay. Let's continue. Now, I'm going to share about some important topics which is covered in IGCSE. Okay. Topics covered in IGCSE. It means the syllabus, the chapters that you will be assessed on. Okay. Now, the first one, states of matter, atoms, elements and compounds, stoichiometry, electrochemistry, chemical energetics, chemical reactions, acids, bases and salts, the periodic table, metals, chemistry of the environment, organic chemistry, and experimental techniques and chemical analysis. So these are the topics you have been learning from grade 9 until now, grade 10. Okay, let's continue. Now I will share about some examiner's tips. Okay, first you need to learn your definitions. Example, what is compound? Define the mole. Okay, are often poorly answered. So define does not mean give an example. So you need to write down the definition for the question. Okay. Next one, when you are drawing a diagram, so make sure they fill the space given on the paper and you need to label your diagram. Okay. And when you are required to draw any apparatus for gas measurement, make sure that the gas cannot escape. It means you draw a gas syringe with a plunger much smaller than the syringe barrel. So this is a common error. Okay, although it's very tiny mistake, little mistake, but please take note. Okay, next one, in chemistry, when you are plotting a graph of reaction rate, so you must draw a curve of best fit through the lines. Okay, so you draw a curve, not a straight line. Okay, so although it's a line of best fit, but it must be a curve for rate of reaction curve. Okay, and if you draw a different line, okay, maybe you draw a straight line or line of best fit, and you will not get a marks for that. Okay, next, let's continue. Okay, now teacher will share about tips on specific topics, mainly for paper 3 and paper 4, theory. Okay. Okay, so I will not cover all the topics because of the time frame. So just the important one. Okay. Now for acid and bases, so you don't confuse the pH scale with the degree of acidity. Okay. So the more acidic the substance, the lower the pH. It means acid, the strongest acid has pH value of 1 and the strongest alkaline or base have pH value of 14. Okay. So next one, a common error is to think that less sodium hydroxide this is an example, okay, is needed to neutralize a weak acid than to neutralize a strong acid of the same concentration. Okay, now the same amount is needed because the hydroxide is reacting with all the acidic hydrogen in the molecule. So not just those that have ionized. Okay, need to take note of this. And the phrase, let's say the question asks, explain why this acid is acting as a base. Okay, we know acid act as an acid. Okay, so you need to answer based on a particle theory. So the examiner is looking for an answer involving proton transfer. When you have two acids, so you need to compare the acidic value, okay, acidity, and stronger acid will force another weaker acid to become a base. Okay, this is what happened. Okay, and then simple inorganic salts like sodium chloride are generally neutral when dissolved in water. So they are not acidic when they are dissolved. And nitric acid, this is a common mistake. Nitric acid is a strong acid, not a weak acid. Okay, okay, let's continue. Now, atomic structure and bonding. Okay, this one is a very popular topic. Okay, so because we have questions like draw chemical bonding, we have ionic bonding, covalent bonding. So you are required to draw the chemical bonding, show the how the ions are like from atom change to ion. So you can make a lot of mistakes here, okay? Especially the drawing part. Okay, so it is common mistake to count the bonds and not the electrons when asked about the number of electrons, okay? So for example, the number of shared electrons in methane is 8, not 4, okay? So when writing dot and cross diagram for ionic structure, put the charge outside of the bracket at the top, not in the center of the atom. Okay, in the center of the atom, we will write the symbol of the atom. Okay, so let's say it has changed to ion. So the charge either positive or negative, you write outside of the bracket. When asked about number of covalent bonds in a compound, focus on the outer shell electrons that are shared, not the total number of electrons. It means you focus on the valence electron, how many they share. Okay. When you are drawing a dot and cross diagrams for molecules such as nitrogen, which have only 3 bonding pairs of electrons, don't forget to draw in the lone pairs of electrons. Like on the shell of nitrogen, you need to draw electrons. Okay. Remember that there must be 8 electrons surrounding each atom. So normally for covalent compound, we forgot that there are also lone pairs of electrons, which you need to draw on the shell. Okay. Next one, practice drawing diagrams of giant molecule structures, including silicon dioxide, diamond, and graphite. So although all of them are made up of carbon atoms, but there are differences in the structure and arrangement. So you need to know how to draw the arrangement for silicon dioxide, diamond, and graphite. Another thing, you also need to know what are the differences between these molecule structures. Okay. Next, let's continue. Okay, electrochemistry. Okay, a common mistake is to confuse between the product at anode and cathode when dilute or concentrated aqueous solution is used as electrolyte. Okay, this only happens when aqueous solution is involved, not for molten condition. So let's say if it is a molten salt, there will be no confusion because only one anion and one cation present. Okay, but aqueous solution, we have 2 cation and 2 anion present. So you need to select which ion will be discharged at the electron. So therefore, you need to know the electrochemical series. Okay, so example, sodium chloride. When it is dilute at cathode and anode, it will be different product compared to concentrated. Okay. When dilute, sodium chloride, sodium so when aqueous solution, another two ions are present, which is hydrogen ion and hydroxide ion. So that's why teacher mentioned that got two anion and two cation. So you need to choose based on the electrochemical series. Okay. Okay, next one, let's continue with the equation, formulas, and number of moles. Okay, this one, you need to make sure you know how to calculate. And the formula to calculate few things like number of moles, volume of gas, volume of solution, volume of liquid, okay? And then the common mistake made in this topic, if the question asks to state or write a word equation and students give symbol equation, this is very common. So make sure you read the word, the sentence or the question carefully. If the question asks you to give word equation, you write down word equation, okay? And symbol equation involve the chemical symbol, okay? Don't be confused with oxidation number or charge of ions. For this, you need to really understand how the charge of the ion come from where, okay? So you need to make sure you know the charge of ion so that symbol equation or it won't be wrong, okay? Especially when you're balancing the equation, and if the formula of the compound is wrong, then the rest of the calculation will be wrong as well, okay? Next one, when you're calculating moles and if you're given an equation such as the following, okay? So magnesium plus ethanoic acid, you get magnesium ethanoate plus hydrogen gas, okay? So you should ignore the 2, okay, which is in front the formula, okay, of ethanoic acid when you are calculating the molar mass of ethanoic acid. So these 2 is not required. But when you are calculating the number of moles, yes, you need to take this number 2 into consideration because this is to balance the equation, right? So you need to take into account. Clear, huh? But when you are calculating molar mass of each compound, you don't have to include any number in front the formula. Okay, next, let's continue. Organic chemistry. Okay, organic chemistry is one of the popular question as well. So like every year, we can see at least 1 or 2 questions related to organic chemistry. Okay, even in paper 6 also have. Okay, so you need to know few things in organic chemistry. Definition of hydrocarbon. Okay, so your answer should have a compound containing only carbon and hydrogen. Okay, so the answer scheme, if you refer to the answer scheme, they will stress on this word only because that's the correct definition of hydrocarbon. Okay, next, you need to know the difference between functional group and homologous series. Okay, example, carboxylic acid is homologous series and C double bond H, O and H is functional group. Okay, so you need to know what are the homologous series present in organic chemistry and their functional group also. Okay, and when you are trying, the question is asking you to identify cracking reaction from a set of reaction given. So you need to look out for one molecule or reactant forming 2 or more molecules or product. Remember that cracking does not involve oxygen. It's just a breakdown of a larger molecule into a few smaller molecules. Okay. Next, clear does not mean colorless. Okay. Let's say bromine water is a test used to test the presence of alkene or double bond. Okay. So when bromine water is added to an alkene, the color change is from red brown or brown to colorless, not to clear. Okay. So there are difference between clear and colorless. Can I? Okay, let's continue. Now, rate of reaction and equilibrium. Now, many students have difficulty at explaining what is meant by rate of reaction. Remember 2 points, okay? So when the question asks you to explain rate of reaction, you need to include change in volume or mass over a fixed period of time. So change in volume or mass and time. These two words must be present when you are explaining about the definition of rate of reaction, okay? And second point, remember that the total volume of gas released by the same amount of metal is always the same, okay? A common error is to think that powdered metal, when react with acid, okay, it gives off more gas than larger lumps of the same amount of metal. Now, the thing is, the amount of metal is what control the amount of gas released, okay? Volume of gas will be the same if the mass present is the same, okay? Just that the rate of reaction, how fast the gas is produced, that what matters, okay? Understand, huh? Next one, the total volume of gas released by catalyzed reaction is exactly the same as for an uncatalyzed reaction. The same amount of reactant is the important factor. So with catalyst, if catalyst is present, the function of catalyst is to speed up the reaction. So it increases the rate of reaction, but it doesn't change the total volume of gas release. So these are the common mistakes, okay? Okay. Next one, a common mistake is to say that in an equilibrium reaction, a catalyst increase the rate of forward reaction more than the backward reaction, okay? One of the characteristics of equilibrium is that the backward and forward reaction go at the same speed. This applies to catalyzed as well as uncatalyzed reaction, okay? So when the question asks what happens if catalyst is not present, okay? So it gives no effect. It doesn't affect anything, no change, okay? Please remember. Okay, let's continue. Next one is tips on paper 6. Okay. Okay, if you notice, paper 6, there are 4 questions in paper 6, and the topics that they are covered in each question is roughly the same for almost like every year. Okay, so the first question, what you need to know is that you need to know the name of commonly used apparatus. Okay, next you need to remember the test used for gases. Okay, and revise on pH value of strong and weak acid and bases. Okay, although it's very simple question, right? The pH value, state the pH value of this solution. Okay, but maybe you got confused. So let's say if it's a strong acid, so your pH value should be from 1 to 3, and weak acid from 4 to 6. So you should know this value. Any of, like, let's say the question asks strong acid, so you write from 1 to 3, any value from 1 to 3, then you are correct, like that. Okay, next one, know how to answer what happens question. Okay, so this question is very common. Okay, now let's say, look at this example. So we have this setup, okay, this setup, and the question asks, explain what happens if the delivery tube is not removed from the water as soon as the heating is stopped. Okay, so it's just the question wants you to predict and answer what actually will happen. So what happened is that the water will go back into the delivery tube. Okay, water will be because of the pressure. Okay, and it will cause this test tube to break. So this actually you need to think and answer. Okay, so try to see the past year question. So when have this question, try to predict, okay, what will happen. Okay, next, let's continue. Okay, question 2. Question 2 covers the most marks from paper 6. Okay, so for question 2, you need to know the accuracy to which you can read burettes, measuring cylinder, thermometer, weighing balance, and other equipment. Okay, so you cannot confuse yourself when you are reading a burette and measuring cylinder. Okay, because the reading will be upside down. The measurement is upside down. Okay, for both burette and measuring cylinder. Okay, why you need to make sure that you read properly, and even the small points you need to read carefully, because you need to plot a graph using that points. Okay, so if one of your point is wrong, so the whole graph will be different. Okay, next one, don't forget to record the value in the data table given. Okay, some students tend to forget, they just straight away draw the graph, but the data table got marks as well. So you need to make sure you write the values you have read from the apparatus. Okay, next, make sure to plot all the points correctly on the graph given. What happens if any of your points is wrong? One of your point is wrong. Okay, you still get marks. Okay, so normally for plotting the graph, you have like 4 to 5 marks. You still have marks for the axis part, labeling the axis. Okay, the marks will be deducted based on the points that you are wrong. Okay, so if one point wrong, you still can get mark. Okay, for the axis and the plotting of the points. Okay, but when you're plotting the points on the graph, you need to make sure it is accurate. Okay. Next, show the extrapolation or interpolation on the graph and how you get the reading from the plotted graph. Okay, what teacher is saying in this sentence is, normally in the question will ask you to find a value from the graph that you have plotted. So when you are finding, I know that you can actually get the point by just seeing, but important, you need to show on the graph. Okay, show the extrapolation or interpolation, how you get that answer from the graph. Okay, next one, for question 2, the topics covered is mainly from rate of reaction. So rate of reaction, there are few factors like temperature, catalyst, other than that, pressure. So you just need to read the apparatus and relate to the rate of reaction normally. Okay, next one, question 3, make sure you know the cation and anion of salt. Okay, qualitative analysis table is provided. Okay, so this is a good news for y'all. From this year, February, March only, the table is provided, means it's attached in the question paper itself. So for paper 6, you can actually, for question number 3, you can relax a bit because the analysis table is provided. So you can just refer to the table, but the thing is, you need to know how to get that answer. So you need to practice questions. Otherwise, you don't know where, although the table is there, you don't know where to find. Okay, so question 3, I will say that it's an easy mark question. You can get this year, not for previous year. Okay, then topics covered usually from acid, bases, and salts. Okay, now question 4. Question 4 is where you need to write and basically you need to plan an investigation. Okay, so you need to identify all the variable like manipulated, responding, and control variable. Okay, so and from the question given. Okay, and you need to state the mass or volume of substances used in the investigation. Okay, don't forget to include all the apparatus that will be used in the investigation. Okay, although it's a small apparatus, but you need to mention in the, you need to write in the investigation when you're writing the answer. Okay, make sure to conclude the investigation. Okay, I'm going to show you an example of question 4. Okay, let's say this question. Look at this question. Cadmium, cobalt, and vanadium are all metals. They react with dilute hydrochloric acid to form hydrogen gas. These reactions are exothermic. So you need to plan an investigation to find the order of reactivity of the three metals. Okay, so the question given, okay, so you need to find what are the manipulated variable, responding variable, and also the controlled variable. So here, the rate of reaction or reactivity is of the metals will be the responding variable, and the amount of the metal used will be the control variable. You need to make sure the amount of mass used of metals used is the same. Okay, and what you can vary, the reactivity is the manipulated variable, and the volume of gas collected is the responding variable. So in this one, students can actually plan your own variable, because rate of reaction you can find from few steps. Let's say to find out which metal will finish quickly. That is one of the method. Another one, you can also calculate the total volume of gas produced. Other than that, you can also set the time. Okay, so which of the reaction completes quickly. So all these are variable that you can decide. Okay, and let's say you have selected the volume of gas. So you need to conclude your your answer. So as a conclusion, you write down. So the volume of the metal which can produce more gas is the metal which is more reactive. So it's like that. Can understand? Okay. Okay. Next one is the table and charts that you need to remember. Okay, important tables. First one is reactivity series, electrochemical series. Basically, reactivity series and electrochemical series are same, almost the same. Okay, electrochemical series you'll be using for the electrolysis lysis reaction. Reactivity series you can use for the displacement reaction, but you need to know. Okay, next one, flame test for cations and anions. Flame test for cations only. Then test for gases, test for cation and anions. For paper 6, flame test for cation, test for gases, and test for cations and anions are provided. But for paper 3, paper 4, paper 1 and 2, it's not there. So you need to know. Can? Okay. That's all. Thank you.